And I'm not alone.
You're not alone. Hello, everyone. It is time for Revolutionary Change. It is Monday night. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager. And we're going to have a big crowd tonight? I don't know.
Monday, and there's a lot of things. I saw a lot of things scheduled upcoming on my YouTube subscription, like all my things. So I think there's a lot of things on right now.
Well, we can't quite be the most important voice in all of politics, but, you know, we're certainly trying to be. I saw this list that somebody put out earlier today. I don't remember his name, Lathan or something. Listed like the top, like 10 podcasts or whatever. And it was a real hodgepodge of just like different people. Some I agree with, some I didn't agree with. What I know is that we may not be the biggest, as I've said. We are small, but we are mighty, and we have a great audience. And that's what it's all about. Now, I wish I had David Hunter's enthusiasm, but no, we are not going to hit 50,000 subscribers tonight. However, we did see a surge with a couple of clips the other day. So we are now at over 48,300 subscribers. So we've 100 the past couple of days. Again, any growth is certainly appreciated. You know, I saw a clip the other day that we did with Tom Hartman from a couple of years ago, and it doesn't even have 200 views.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of that's why I think it's fun for people to go back and look at some of the good clips, because a lot of this stuff, especially in the beginning days that we would cover, it was timely, but it was much more in depth. And a lot of it is more subject matter based stuff that's still very relevant. Like we would cover pretty big topics. That's my point.
That's the reason we can't get anywhere. That's the real reason.
There she is. There she is.
Crossed her. And so by crossing her, we're definitely in her crosshairs for the rest of our lives.
I could not care less. I'm actually, seriously, like any day now, I'm hoping to move into Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, ironically, for no other reason other than I like this area.
You know what? I don't blame you. And I did send you that image from earlier today because I thought it just kind of spoke to you in so many ways. It's like, yeah, Marjorie is doing the things that Jen would like to be doing on a regular basis. Like,
and by the way, if anybody's just joining, we're speaking about, growing food. There's a picture of her harvesting,
And you could just tell that Marjorie clearly was in her backyard in her district. And
no, I think she said it was her daughter's house, but that area is really nice. So yeah, it's ironic that I would be moving from Debbie's district to Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
No,
but I like there's an area that I very much like. So it is what it is.
But it is possible that you would break bread faster with somebody like her than you would with somebody like Debbie. And to that, I say, this is why we have to stop looking at it from the red and blue line. That is the real danger in us continuing down this path. And I
would actually suggest to people, when you're in a city or an area or a neighborhood, or you're driving around a district and in a location, and you see such poor infrastructure, such poverty, such, lack of green space, like all these things that are just such negatives. You drive around that, and there's times, especially in our district, where there's places where you would wonder if these people had representatives, because you wouldn't think so. But then there's districts like Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. And the truth is, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it isn't that it's affluent. There are some people there that are affluent, but it's not because it's affluent, and it's not because it's entirely rural. It's just they know how to manage and space better and not overdevelop and overcrowd. And it's just, it's better.
Well, one thing I will also say is that Marjorie, like Thomas Massie, says a lot of the right things, but there is that end of the line solution when it comes to economics and how do you actually get there. In fact, Marjorie put out a tweet earlier today saying that we have a mental health crisis in this country. And clearly we do. But if your interest is actually solving the mental health crisis, that involves supporting single payer healthcare. And if you're not going to get
what did she put it out in context to, though?
That we need to deal with domestic issues like mental health. that it's a serious catastrophe, that we're dealing with mental health in this country.
That's very random.
Sure. But then again, these are politicians. These are professional actors in many ways. Not to say that she doesn't believe that there is a mental health crisis, but as I've said, as we continue to evolve and we continue this, what will be the post-Trump circumstance, particularly with the America First Brigade that is growing in this country. And I'm not going to subject Jen to this tonight, but I just want you guys to know I'm going to cover Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk probably Saturday, but I just want to give you guys a heads up that is a big story and that we should talk about it, even if we're not going to talk about it, because Jen has not only no interest in it, but probably doesn't even know who he is.
I've heard of him. I mean, I've heard of him over the, a few years of us doing this. But no.
I've often said that if certain people that we don't necessarily agree with in politics are going to fight against the people that we really don't like in politics, then I say let them fight. That's my attitude. I
just don't care to waste my remaining brain cells that are depleting by the day. I really am very, protective of allocation of my brain cells.
Well,
I have to be.
With that said, since we are talking about Marjorie, she did go on with Matt Gaetz, who has his own show. Again, this is what an ex-congressperson, I guess, ends up doing. But as we mentioned earlier, Marjorie is in a very determined, driven moment in her life where she feels that she has to lead, particularly you could call it MAGA, but I just call it America First. And I think a lot more people are attracted to the concept of America First if it's done in the right context. Obviously, everyone has a different interpretation, but in Marjorie's case, she clearly is thinking about her own future, but she also points out that she's really thinking about her children's future. And so when you're a mom, obviously, you kind of have a different perspective. And so in her case, she's very concerned about the path we're heading down right now with Israel. So this is what she had to say with Matt Gaetz over the weekend.
The reason I invited you on is because I think you really diagnose things well ahead of time. And you are concerned about the Republican Party betraying some of the values of America First that President Trump ran on and that you've really been a standard bearer for in the House of Representatives. And in lieu of that, we got to talk about AIPAC attacking you, sending out fundraising emails saying that you are not acting in the interests of our country. Marjorie Taylor Greene, your reaction to AIPAC's fundraising emails attacking you?
Yeah, Matt, I'll go ahead and be straight and honest about this. I'm absolutely furious. And as a matter of fact, AIPAC needs to register as a foreign lobbyist because they're breaking U.S. laws.
And that's a fact, right? So I would be very, very happy to collaborate with her to force the FARA issue yet again, because this has been an issue since before Kennedy was assassinated.
I'll check your phone, please.
Okay. So this, and there's reason to believe that his stance on Israel is very much reason why he was assassinated. But one of the big things was having AIPAC have to register as a foreign agent. And this has been argued about forever. And they say, well, we represent Americans, Jewish Americans, or just Zionist Americans that care about America's relationship with Israel. So therefore, we don't represent a foreign entity. Bullshit. Bullshit. Their actions say otherwise. Their actions say that they work on behalf of Israel, often against our interest. So, they absolutely are lobbying on behalf of a foreign entity. The fact that they might not themselves be foreign, they very well, American Jews that are lobbying on behalf of AIPAC, they're not foreigners. But if you're lobbying on behalf of a foreign entity, that's it. And she's right. And I hope that this is and hell hath no fury like a Southern woman pissed off. That's all I'm going to say. She is livid.
Yeah, and the mistake that they're making, especially the despicable Laura Loomers and, of course, the reprehensible Mark Levins of the world, they don't understand that if you go after somebody like a deep Southern fried woman like Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're only throwing gasoline on the fire if you really try to nudge her, because that's the one thing she's looking for. She is one of the people in politics who's a throwback to the old days. She is itching for a fight. Like, she does not run away from it. She is not decorum politics. She has no interest in it whatsoever. She's in it to be a badass. Now, do I think that she's annoying and comes off like a jackass from time to time? 1,000%. In fact, I think a lot of her politics is way too libertarian. But with that said,
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. She has many times said things and supported things that I'm just completely, not with. So I am not a fan. But in this case, she's on the right side here. It is what it is. She wants to call out AIPAC. I'm with her.
By donating to members of Congress and by taking them on a fully funded trip to Israel every single freshman member of Congress's year. They just took them over just recently and had them meet with the Prime Minister of Israel. But let's frame that correctly. They take them over to meet with the secular government of nuclear-armed Israel. Israel, who is in less than $400 billion in debt. Israel, who has taxpayer-funded health care in college. Israel is not hurting, and they've already proven that they are more than capable of not only defending themselves, but annihilating their enemies to the point of genocide. And
there it is. And she says the G word that Bernie won't say.
Now, the other thing that I think is important, and this is where I think Marjorie needs to be pushed, because again, as I've said, it's kind of like Thomas Massie. It's the same thing with Ilhan Omar. It's the same thing with Summer Lee. It's the same thing with any representative that isn't on the corporate dole. You have to be willing to engage them on issues that actually matter. No one way or the other is going to have a firm conviction, as Marjorie would potentially have, regarding, let's say, healthcare, for example. I mean, I don't see her as somebody who's just going to say, oh, God, no, I don't want this. I don't want that. It's like, look, this is how it can work for the best of us. The same is true if you're going to mention that Israel has universal education and universal health care. Imagine how much support, Marjorie, you would gain just as a brand if you said, how come Israel gets universal health care and education and we don't have that here in the States? How come Israelis are more important than Americans?
But then, okay, so she's close, right? Like, she's so close to being where we would want someone to be if they were going to offshoot and have there be an opportunity of some sort of party thing here, right? Like, she's close. But yet she keeps going back to focusing on that they're nuclear armed and they're financially capable of thriving on their own. Therefore, still showing at the end of the day support for the existence of the state of Israel, right? So she's on our team as far as us not sending them anything anymore.
I don't know if I agree with that, because at the end of the day, if Israel is not backed by us, they can't stand. And so
I don't know, but the way she talks, I know that. But I'm not saying, I don't think that could happen. I don't think that they can live without us. I know they can't. But the way she talks is that.
Now more than ever, they can't. And now things are getting more dicey by the day. Australia just came out today and said that they will recognize Palestine at the UN summit next month in New York City. So remember when the shit libs kept saying that the walls were closing in on Trump constantly during his first term with the Russiagate bullshit? Well, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The walls are closing in on the genocidal state of Israel, because the world over has had enough.
Yeah.
That's what's happening in Gaza. And Matt, the reason why AIPAC is attacking me is because I dared to tell the truth. Well, Matt, you and I are good friends. We served together in Congress, and you know that I have taken zero money from AIPAC. As a matter of fact, I am so unapologetically American. I have a sign on the door of my office that tells all lobbyists, foreign lobbyists, to stay out of my office, and that they have to follow the law. They have to follow the law and register as a foreign lobbyist and be clear about what country they represent. Because I represent America. As a matter of fact, I've been saying America first for a long time, but I'm getting to the point of saying America only. And I'll tell you why, Matt. It's because pretty much if you're under the age of 40, you have no hope for the future. We're $37 trillion in debt. People can't afford to buy a house. They can't afford rent. They can't afford insurance. They can't afford their bills. And we have HB1 visas stealing all these American jobs. And I'm sick and tired and fed up with it. So if AIPAC, who donates, by the way, to more Democrats than Republicans, as a matter of fact, they're all.
That's not true. It's pretty even.
They all have handlers. And more importantly, and this is a point that we need to make, it isn't, yes, we hate AIPAC and they should be registered as a foreign agent. But more than those lobbyists, there are 2 military industrial complex lobbyists for every single member of Congress. So each member of Congress gets 2 military industrial complex lobbyists that are assigned to them. That's how big this is.
Yeah. And Day Jones is right. And yet she votes for the big, beautiful bill, which runs up the debt. So you can't have it both ways. You have to pick a side. Now, I do think that Marjorie is pretty concrete in her position on this. However, politics has to continue to evolve, and we have to continue to fight along the front lines with people who are willing to fight. Marjorie's willing to go places that very few others are willing to go, including using the G word, as Jen said.
Yes, Jimmy, Kufi and J Street too. Yes, that's just, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So is it true that some of the other NGOs, nonprofits contribute more to the Democrats like J Street? Absolutely they do. However, this idea that there are more bought off Democrats than Republicans when it comes to the Israel lobby, that's simply not true. It's simply, that there's more Republicans.
But it's close.
Of course it's close.
It's not like there's a noticeable difference, but
it's like 95% of Republicans and 85% of Democrats.
Right.
Okay, this is the same argument that people give about going to vote for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. It's like, I don't care what size of a shitbag it is. It's still a shitbag at the end of the day. So don't try to sell me on that crap. No one should be saying that.
No.
All for Democrats, but they do donate to Republicans as well. But listen, if AIPAC wants to come after me and accuse me of betraying my American values, AIPAC, you know what? You can bring it on. I am totally ready for this. And this is a fight that I will fight, and I will give it my all. And I can guarantee you, you're going to lose, because America is fed up, Matt. They're fed up to here with funding foreign wars, funding foreign causes, funding foreign countries for foreign reasons that have nothing to do with Americans, while Americans work their ass off every day and pay their taxes and come home and they're living paycheck to paycheck and their credit cards are maxed out. I don't care anymore. I honestly don't care. So I'll burn this bridge to the ground and I will let the flames light the way, and because this is a fight that needs to happen.
If we were still in Congress, I would just say I associate myself with the comments of the gentlelady from Georgia, because everything you said there is factual and true, and at times unpleasant for people to hear.
Yeah, she's right. And, again, I think it's done. Is it over? I think it's done.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. She's willing to put herself out. She always has been. That's what makes her revolutionary. Again, I disagree with her on probably like 80 plus more percent of things. She is not somebody that I would consider to be in my tribe of people. But yet I don't know that, them pissing her off and go is smart either. And I think and as someone who's looking to move into that district, she's very liked. She's very popular in her district, and they're not going to be able, in fact, them going after her will only make people support her. It's so going to backfire.
Well, the other thing that was pointed out, which I thought was hysterical, is that apparently AIPAC put out an attack, and Colin, I know I sent you some information via X, Twitter, regarding Marjorie. And one thing that they decided to point out is the amount of, AIPAC wanted to point out the amount of AIPAC donors in her district. And evidently, the amount of people, including Laura Loomer, who decided to come after her and attack her again, this is who these people are. They are cowards. They all fight for whatever the reasons are, and you know, the whole cat fighting bullshit, which to me is so stupid. But if there was a real cat fight between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Laura Loomer, my money's on Marjorie. Like,
oh yeah,
Marjorie,
no, Marjorie, scrappy. She's very scrappy.
So I don't know if there's any true relevance to this. All I know is that AIPAC has basically put Marjorie Taylor's face on a dartboard, and they're going to try to hit her with as many darts as they can, because they clearly don't want anybody speaking up. Again, that's the danger of having one very powerful voice in Congress who is willing to just buck every trend and say, the hell with playing it safe. I'm going to go for it. I know my constituents love me. I know they'll protect me at the ballot box. So I'm going to say what needs to be said. Now, granted, I think she's putting herself in a great deal of danger by doing it, but that's what happens. You know, you talk about crumbling empires. I mean, Israel, you had Mark Levin coming after her. You had AIPAC coming after her. You had Mr. Shitbag himself, Al Huckabee, coming after her. And she's just going to tell her side and just say, you know, you guys are all full of it. You're not America first. You're Israel first. The difference between MAGA and MIGA, as they say. But in this case, Marjorie decided to go right for the throat with Laura Loomer, who, again, of all the people who does not deserve to be given any type of a platform, it's somebody like Laura Loomer, who
I still don't understand why she has a platform.
Well, there's a belief that she has some type of an illicit relationship with Trump, and that's the reason. And it's certainly possible.
No, but I mean, who is she? Why do we care? Who is she? Why do we care?
I don't care.
No, I mean, originally, that's why at some point I thought that she must have been.
She ran. You're not listening. She ran for Congress against whatever her name. She ran in the district that I used to live in when I was at Delray Beach. She ran against the former mayor of West Palm. Her name is slipping me right now. She's another insider trader. So they all suck. You know, it's not. There isn't. People have to stop associating this idea that there are good guys and bad guys in the mix here.
No, but I do love this. I do love this red on red violence. This is great.
This is different. This is catfight violence. This is serious.
No. And you know what? That's offensive to me as a female person. Okay. Why is it a catfight? Because it's women.
Well, women, when they get into these types of arguments.
What are these types of arguments? Do you want to go and look at all the different types of ridiculous Twitter fights that people like Trump and Musk and all these moron men are having? Do not call this a catfight. There's no need to be a misogynist in this project.
Oh, God, shut up.
No, I'm serious. Why are you calling it a catfight? I can't speak for Loomer, but I bet you anything that Marjorie knows how to throw a punch. So let's have some respect. It's not a catfight. It's just like you'd say any other dispute.
Colin, do you have the tweet from AIPAC that she responded to, that they attacked her on? Because again, I don't need to read her, bitching to about Laura Loomer.
No,
Laura Loomer sucks. And
yeah, we don't need to hear about that. We don't need to hear about Laura Loomer.
All right, so I just let me get that over to you real quick. But that was one to me that I thought was very telling, because they are scared of her. There is no reason that they would not come after her unless they thought that she was a legitimate threat, and they do think that she's a threat, which is why they're trying to move heaven and earth to go at her.
And it's going to be awesome. It's going to backfire gloriously. It's so, and I hate again referring to the Streisand effect, but she is right when she says that people are up to here. Now, my up to here is a lot taller than her up to here, but people are fed up. Okay. And regardless of the reason, like her reason and my reason are not the same reason. That's true. Good point, David Hunter.
But it's okay when David points it out.
No, he wasn't referring to women as a catfight. He wasn't being a misogynist.
I was simply saying that sometimes when women get into it with each other, they can be very visceral, the reaction that they have towards each other.
I prefer to just say women are thorough and formidable. and we could just leave it at that.
That's fine.
The fact that you know, I wouldn't want to get into it with a cat before I wouldn't want to get into it with a dog. You know what I mean? Like dogs are much more pliable to me. I healthy respect for the feline.
Marjorie Taylor Greene says, I am fed up with the outright slander and lies about me because I'm unapologetically America first. And let me tell you, just saying that alone, that is a winning message. It is a superior winning message. You can't unsell that, no matter how hard you try. And there's already a perception amongst the not so up to snuff politicos out there that are not really aware of just how deep the rabbit hole goes with the Israel lobby and how they are 1,000% loyal to Israel and 0% loyal to the United States. And so she points out, I am demanding AIPAC register as a foreign lobbyist, and I refuse to vote for U.S. taxpayers' hard-earned money to fund foreign aid and foreign wars. She's starting to sound a lot like what Tulsi Gabbard used to sound like.
She's like the inverse of Tulsi Gabbard. Like, who would have thought that we would be saying anything remotely complimentary about her? You know.
So of course the dickwads over at AIPAC from their ivory towers.
I love this. This is good because this is going to go into the point that I was just making about what their argument is against having to register under FARA.
5 million U.S. citizens, including more than 9,000 of MTG's own constituents, are AIPAC members. No, they're not AIPAC members. They have donated to AIPAC, which again doesn't necessarily mean that they're members. But
I question what they're what they consider as donating and members.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah,
we are unapologetically patriotic Americans. No, you're not. Who advocate for an alliance that make the U.S. safer, stronger, and more prosperous. No, you don't. Marjorie Taylor Greene has this on her door in the congressional hall. That's 0.011% of my district. Now stop the law and register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act 22 U.S. Code 611-62. Do not enter my office because you are not registered under FARA. I only work for the American people. My job is representative in the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, my question is, why is Marjorie Taylor Greene the only person putting a message out there like this? You could say Thomas Massie too, but I want to know why. I mean, even if you want to include Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar in there as well. But
you
why
could throw Bernie in there if you wanted to. He doesn't work with the AIPAC people.
But why is there not a concerted effort to get this anti-American foreign sleaze of an organization?
Because they're scared of them. We've talked about this. It isn't even a matter of whether or not you take their money. Like we've said, people like AOC Pelosi, like Bernie, these are people that they don't take AIPAC money, but they're doing their bidding anyway. And so even if they don't take the money, but they're scared of being challenged by them or scared to stand up to them, you're their bitch. It just makes you really cheap.
There's a good point, Colanello. And AOC still acts like AIPAC's bitch.
See my previous few sentences. Right. She's just a cheaper whore.
Yeah.
It's not a selling point.
Silence.
She does it for free.
Silence gets people killed. And people who put their career ahead of everybody else. Could you imagine? This is the impact that Marjorie is having. Could you imagine if Alex was using the same incendiary language that Marjorie is using right now with the platform that she has and the type of impact that could have? No, she doesn't do it.
No. Well,
there is no coming back.
Vote?
That's it.
One vote. I don't know what one vote he's referring to.
Sometimes in life, you get one shot. And if you fuck up, that's it.
But what's one vote? I don't understand what's one vote.
She voted for the Iron Dome, and then she voted against Marjorie's bill. She is proving that no,
Colanello, it's every vote she's made regarding this for the past 2 years. It's the fact that she stayed silent during Joe. It's not one vote. You are so, that's absurd to think that. It really is. And no, she's a whore because she's doing the bidding of them and not even getting the money. So she's just cheaper.
Not even
It's like,
making
you're going to vote
deals.
for the same shit that they want. You might as well take their money. But the
I
only
always
reason,
said-
so she's too scared of them. Then
I've always said if she were an effective legislator, that would be one thing, but she isn't even that. Like Marjorie, AOC is one of the most ineffectual legislators in all of Congress. In fact, for a significant portion of her tenure there, she's been in the bottom 10 members of the entire delegation. That's pathetic, especially when you have that big of a reach. She's got probably the biggest reach out of any congressional.
And that big of a mandate when she got in there, and that much attention and that much power and that much backing and that much money. But the reality is she was never what they were selling us that she was.
Correct.
She wasn't that. So, it is what it is. But no, I'm not. She is.
And therein, of course, lies the problem when Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing this. That's the problem.
Look, it's apparent. We've been saying this for a while that I think the Democratic Party is dead. I think it's going to continue to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And it's definitely not going to come back.
Oh, do you want to get into that one?
No, but what I was going to say is, any chance that there is of any third party or branch out of this duopoly is only going to come from the right or from the Republican side. And it's going to come from people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz, Thomas Massie. It's going to come from somebody like that. Yeah. And those of us who are willing to put on our big girl panties and converse with those people, even though we don't agree with them, will have an opportunity to do something. That's my thoughts.
Hey, you know what? This is why I get tired of people talking about the Democrats did this, the Democrats did that. When the Civil Rights Act was passed back in 1964, that everyone thought was this huge risk on LBJ's part before he won in a landslide against Barry Goldwater. Go back and check the senators that actually voted with LBJ to pass the legislation. It's predominantly Republicans that did it. So again, I'm tired of the two-party bullshit. I'm not getting caught up in it. I just want to know who's fighting and fighting for the right causes, because if you are, I am going to support you, and I believe Jen will do the same. That's what we're looking for. But when we say that the Democratic Party is dead, I mean it's dead, like really dead, like buried and dead. And you know why? Because Emerson just released a presidential poll for 2028. And who's their top candidate? That the Democrats want to. I'm talking about the Democrats who want to still support this party. And who do they think is the best person that they could possibly have as their nominee in 2028? Well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show you. Because
who am I? Wait. I need to prepare. Who am I being subjected to?
Oh,
I don't know that I have enough weed. Hold on.
Do you have any mayo?
No, not
half
him.
of Senate Democrats just voted to oppose the sale of over $500 million worth of U.S. bombs and guns to Israel. Would you have voted to oppose sending those weapons?
I think we need to insist that if American taxpayer funding is going to weaponry that is going to Israel, that is not going to things that shock the conscience. And look, we see images every day that shock the conscience.
Really? He didn't have a problem with babies not having formula in this country. He didn't have a problem with that. In fact, when he was questioned about what he was going to do about that as the Secretary of Transportation, when there was a serious supply chain problem and formula was not being available for many, many people, he had a very let them drink water answer of, well, we are a capitalist country. Yeah.
Well, we're capitalists, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Don't think it's not lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on anybody, that there is the word crooked right over the left ear of Buttigieg. The best
What are you saying? There's what over his what?
Look over his head.
Right. Oh, the flag.
No. Do you see the word?
Crooked. Well, what show is this that we're watching?
It's crooked,
I thought you were talking in his
media.
room. I didn't think you meant the label of the.
No, I mean, it's crooked
video.
media, but just the fact that you have that over his head.
Well, he is crooked. He is. I cannot. Actually, anybody who has not watched a lot of the stuff that Jordan Sheraton at Status Quo has put out talking about Pete, because Jordan actually spent some time in South Bend and spoke to some folks and has some information about the kind of mayor that he was. But again,
he was a dreadfully bad
yes.
mayor.
And most people would never know that, because most people are not aware of the ongoings of South Bend, Indiana. So why would you know that? So I would encourage people, before really having an opinion about someone that has been polished up a la the Clinton Foundation, to look, like this, as to how he actually did run things as a chief executive, as the mayor. Horribly.
Yeah, horribly. And on top of everything else, this is a guy who at most got 8,000 votes in his political career and somehow became a front runner for president of the United States. No.
I reject him entirely.
Correct. Well, not exactly, but
what do you mean? I completely reject him.
No, I reject him. I'm saying that the Democratic sycophants clearly are still.
Oh, they love him.
Yeah.
They love him. I know people that are my kind of people, and they just don't know, because for the most part, he doesn't get that much press. It's not like he's that, there hasn't been something that's been so big since that he was sitting in that position under that timeline.
Well, keep in mind that in many cases, the reason why he isn't being talked about in the capacity that he should be talked about is because he is a very extremely rehearsed and measured representative. Well, he's not even a representative. I mean, what is he?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What is he? I don't know what his job is. He's not the Secretary of Transportation.
Yeah, well, he's just a Dem in training, I guess you'd say, or whatever.
He's the Manchurian candidate, is what he is. He's
so much of this is complicated, but what's not complicated is that if a child is starving because of a choice made by a government, that is unconscionable.
Okay, so can we superimpose this over him justifying it in this country and have those back to back? Like, I would be a really good person to do oppo, like branding for people, like good opposition, take good things, and because that would be great. Because he's literally saying the exact opposite of what he said regarding children, infants in this country not getting formula.
I just figured out why so many of the shit libs like this guy. Because he is cut directly from, he's like central casting from the West Wing. Like, he would fit perfectly on that show. That's exactly why they like him. He's you know what? He's got a very clean cut image. He's gay. He checks that box.
He's got the husband, he's got the kids, whatever. Like, they think he's just so appealing to the suburban liberals, and he is.
Yeah,
he is. But the more you hear him and you see him, it'll be a very similar problem to Kamala, because he is such an elitist.
Not only is he elitist,
that's what oozes. The more he speaks, the more regular people hear him speak. He just comes off like such an elitist piece of shit.
Well, not only that, but he has no depth. None. There is nothing under the hood of that car. He is such an empty vessel of the worst kind. Again, this guy is central casting test tube politician from McKinsey. Yeah. That's who he is. And the problem is that the more the working class and the progressives leave the party, which they're doing, the more it just becomes a shit lib minority party that is going to put somebody like him forward because they're so disconnected from reality about the way the world is versus the way they envision it to be. Hence why he looks like he's made perfectly for the West Wing and why they're supporting him. Could you, again, Emerson, this isn't some shit poll. This is a real presidential poll that they did.
They like him, but who are they polling? But again, who are they polling?
Well, I guess anybody that was willing to respond. The Democratic voters.
Democrats, so registered Democratic voters, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we should collectively know that's a very small group of people. It really is.
However small it is, The party is still rigged because they rigged their primaries. They still have superdelegates. They still do what they're going to do. And remember, when the Democrats rig their primaries, when it becomes a candidate that doesn't play ball with the establishment. Now, they don't really care one way or the other if it's Newsom, if it's Pritzker, if it's Kamala, if it's even if it is Gretchen Whitmer, and of course, if it's Pete Buttigieg, to them, they're 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Those type of candidates, the shitlibs can pick from, and they'll put whichever one up to actually become the nominee. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but in terms of the nominee, if you guys think that the Democratic establishment would not nominate Pete Buttigieg as their candidate, you really are asleep at the wheel.
Oh, of course they will. They've been bringing him up.
Would nominate him. They wouldn't hesitate for a second.
Why would you think that anybody would think they would hesitate? They've been pumping up him and Kamala. They're like the same little Manchurian class of candidates. The Clintons threw their money behind both of those horses. And, Kamala seemed to, they thought, well, we definitely need to put in a woman as vice president. So that sort of led that direction. But they were invested in him, too. He's their other little show pony.
He is 100%.
I think, especially including voices who care about Israel, who believe in Israel's right to exist, who have stood with Israel in response to the unbelievable cruelty and terrorism of October 7th. I think there's a reason why so many of those voices are speaking up now too, because this is not just something that is on its face and in itself a moral catastrophe. It is also a catastrophe for Israel for the long run.
How do you think?
You know what I think? I think you suck. Pete Guaido. That's a great nickname, Matt Stu.
Pete Guaido. It actually, it's a good likeness too. It's the same thing.
Schultz is 100% right. It's like Center for American Progress. Hey, how do we put a gay guy up there? You think people would get excited about a gay guy? I just want health care.
Right. If he was supporting healthcare, I'd get excited about him.
Yeah. It's not even a question of I'm just tired of the box checking. I don't care. I don't care what a person looks like. I don't care what their sex is. I don't care what they do in their private life. I just care if they're bought and paid for by corporate special interests. And this guy is bought by every corporate special interest. This is the guy who tried to hoodwink an entire country by saying Medicare for all who want it.
Right.
As if our country was not broken enough, you're trying to sell that bullshit.
That's just a public option.
Yeah. And on top of everything else, the guy, no pun intended, will slurp Israel to the highest, to their heart's content, no matter what. Even in the face of all this, the way that he's trying to splice it and make it seem like he genuinely cares about anything other than his career is almost an impossibility. He's trying, but he's failing miserably.
The next administration should handle our relationship with Israel. Do you think it should change based on what Netanyahu has done the last several years?
Well, certainly Netanyahu can't be the only voice or the only compass for what should happen in the U.S.-Israel relationship. And no matter how strongly, or especially because of how strongly you might believe in Israel's right to exist and defend itself, you don't have to make excuses for the choices that Netanyahu is making, especially because they are often made not only in the name of the Israeli people, but in the name of a U.S. alliance. I think that we, as Israel's strongest ally and friend, you put your arm around your friend when there's something like this going on and talk about what we're prepared to do together.
You think he memorized that line?
I don't know. Who writes your shit, Pete? Who writes for you? Petey? This is, I think, when I truly fell in love with Colonel Wilkerson, was when he kept referring to him as little Petey.
Again, this is a person who is doing everything he can in his mind to say, is this going to offend this donor? Is this going to offend that donor? I don't want to offend anybody because I have a career ahead of me. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, the Democratic establishment, with their relationship with McKinsey, he was clearly scouted. And when he was interviewed, they basically told him, we have a job for you.
We have a job for you.
Here's your job. we are going to have you run as a more youthful, exuberant, progressive candidate to steal as many votes and support away from Bernie Sanders as you possibly can. And in the end, you will do as we ask of you to ensure that we defeat Bernie Sanders. That's our top priority. And if you do this, you're going to have one hell of a career ahead of you, young man. And when you're somebody like Buttigieg, you jump at that opportunity. And that's what they gave him. And that's why a guy like this, who makes no sense whatsoever, I mean, a politician, he is a generations plus removed from when a voice like this had any relevance whatsoever.
Oh yeah, no, the 90s called and they want their politics back with him. But the problem that he has, I think, as ever being able to really win is he's just not really warm and likable once you get past, oh, he's nice and well kempt, but that's as far as it goes. He's a word salad like Kamala. Nothing he says has any substance. He changes what he says all the friggin' time. And yet he is nowhere near as smooth as someone like Obama.
Correct.
So he's only going to get so far. But right. So he's word salad with no sense of smooth or cool or grace whatsoever. He could be one of the most uncool people like ever.
And that's also the thing that people will still forget about Obama and about Clinton is that they had real personality. They may be sociopaths, especially Bill Clinton, but make no mistake that they know how to talk the talk and walk the walk. Pete knows how to talk the talk, but he can't walk the walk because he's just
not smooth. Let me look, Obama, and again, not a fan. Not a fan. I have a lot of problems. I have a lot of issues with that man. But
now
nobody. I have never seen anybody as cool under pressure and collected as Obama. That is one smooth man. Pete can't eat. He is just nowhere in the category of being anywhere cool in that vicinity.
But as we said, the Democratic establishment, it has not changed. They're not going to change. And if you need further proof, this man, as of this moment, is considered the top contender to be the Democratic Party nominee in 2028. Unbelievable.
And what does that tell you? It tells me that I am correct as far as they're going nowhere.
They're going nowhere. That's right.
It certainly cannot be what we see right now from this administration and this president talking about beachfront property in Gaza before he's prepared to talk about human suffering in Gaza.
Do you think it's time to recognize a Palestinian state?
I think that's a profound question that arouses a lot of the biggest problems that have happened with Israel's survival, Israel's right to survival in the diplomatic scene.
So Israel has a right to survival, but Palestine doesn't have a right to state.
He can't even give a real answer.
No, because he's a word salad. And by the way, his body language screams of discomfort and insincerity. Everything he's doing while he's like crossing his arms, he's putting his arms, like he is, which is why he won't get very far. That's exactly why he won't get very far.
I don't know if I agree with you. I still think that the more that this party continues to die, the more that the levers of power will be pulled by those that are just completely politically opportunistic. Like,
what do you mean? Like, they might stick him up in front. Yes. Oh, I'm not doubting that they'll put him up in front. What I'm saying is he's not going to get voted for by actual real people. He's not going to go anywhere.
No, the fact of the matter is, if it comes to just playing the political game and knowing what to expect, if you were to have somebody like Buttigieg as the nominee against somebody like J.D. Vance, it'll be 35 states all over again. Like, that's what's going to happen.
J.D. Vance, it'll be a blowout is what it'll be.
Especially if you've got J.D. Vance.
And I do not like J.D. Vance at all. Like, I don't like him, not even a little bit. I don't want him and his snake leader, Master Peter Thiel, being in reptile man, being in charge of anything. But he will wipe the floor with this man.
And can't argue that. God, again, it's not even what makes him, what makes people like him the worst is that he has zero conviction when it comes to the Israel-Palestine question. It means
he's so uncomfortable.
It means nothing to him. He's just trying to figure out in his mind, what can I say that will offend the least amount of my rich donors that I need to run for president?
But wait a second. He didn't say shit when Joe was sitting there, Genocide Joe. I didn't hear a word coming out of his mouth about the humanitarian problem. And the fact that they are making it be like all of a sudden this starvation thing, even if you wanted to say it really started in beginning of March, okay, that's still April, May, June. We're still 5 months past that. So, and that's even, but the reality is, and people like him, he knows damn well that there's no food been getting in there, that nothing's been getting in there, and not even, and we're talking before October 7th. He knows damn well. He just doesn't give a shit.
The people who have taken that step historically have done so for different reasons than what we see happening with European countries. I think we need to step back and we need to do whatever it takes to ensure that there is a real two-state solution and that no one, not even the likes of Netanyahu, can veto the international community's commitment to a two-state solution where you have Palestinians and Israelis living with safety, with security, with rights. I believe that can happen, but we have to actually show some commitment to it.
Yeah, not really. Two-state solution, still going with that bullshit.
Nobody believes you. Nobody believes you. I mean, that's the problem. Nobody believes them anymore.
Oh, how could they? It's
not to mention, I love it when American politicians talk about a two-state solution, and you could put it up next to Benjamin Netanyahu or Smotrich or Gavir or any of those psychopaths saying there will never be a Palestinian state. So why is it that our politicos are so that they're comfortable spouting their nonsense of a two-state solution when the rest of the world sees that that's never going to happen? There's going to be one state, and it's not going to be a Zio-ethno state. That's what's going to happen.
Like I said, he's dragged from central casting. He went to the military. He was trained at McKinsey. He was a small town mayor who ran South Bend into the ground. And this guy got plucked out of obscurity and becomes one of the front runners for president of the United States. No one knew who the hell he was. And you're telling me that Bernie Sanders, who had already a 4-year track record as being the face of left populist politics, had competition with this guy? Guys, It's a rigged game. It's rigged.
Well, like the K-Hive, or you think his supporters or any of the Buttigieg? Yes, I know there's a bunch of like suburban wine moms that probably think he's just great.
Yeah, but you see, in their mind, one of their votes equals 1,000 votes of a lesser person, and that in their mind anyway. You know, that's kind of how they look at it.
Yeah, well, I just don't think there's enough people that'll get far enough. And there certainly won't be the level of enthusiasm where it's needed. It's not going to be with young people. It's not going to be with college students. It's not going to be where they need real movement. They're never going to get that support. They'll have to pay people like they always do.
Well, they're also convinced that somehow, some way, this is all going to change. But it's not. That's what they're missing. What they're missing more than anything else is this idea that eventually things are going to settle down. Eventually people are going to move on. It'll be normal again. It's never going to be normal again, ever.
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 I know.
We're all mass murderers as far as I'm concerned. You have all put your careers ahead of the lives of brown people in the Middle East for money and power. That's it. And why do I say this and how do I know this? Because Jen and I met dozens of these families who had their families mass murdered.
Oh, yeah. It's a very small Palestinian community here. And when I say here, I do mean in my Tri-County area, but also in the United States. Like even when you go to places like in Dearborn, these are very tight communities. It's very little degrees of separation. And there are not a lot of Palestinian people. It's a small amount of people, especially in this country. So yeah, they know each other. And yeah, I mean,
And keep in mind, one of the biggest reasons why things don't change more than anything else is because the suburban, affluent wine moms that have nothing better to do with their lives support people like Buttigieg. They're the ones who vote. They're the ones who show up at little Democrat Party meetings for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They're the ones who have the money and the time, granted. But the fact of the matter is, there's a substantial portion of this country, including most members of the Muslim community, who are not involved politically. But that's changing. And it's changing for the better because they're much more aware of what needs to be done and how change needs to happen. And they're not classist in the way that the typical Westerner happens to be. You see, the idea of the collective is something that matters to people from Eastern cultures, regardless of how wealthy they are. They actually care about the least of these in a way that Americans in many ways do not. And that's not to say that it's socialism or it's soft. It's, do we have policies that are not bought and paid for by corporate power? A person like Buttigieg is everything that the corporate establishment has wet dreams over. The problem for him is that too many people in this country are now aware of how the game is played. And it is our job to use our small but mighty channel that we hope to continue to grow, that is going to get that message out there to people that when we say, stay the fuck away from Pete Buttigieg and the Democratic Party establishment, I mean run as far away from it as you possibly can.
Pete is not your friend. He's not your friend.
I'm your friend, but that
right. The good Pete versus the bad Pete.
If you are enjoying this banter, please go over to patreon.com/revolutionary change. For as little as $5 a month, you could become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. And we obviously are very grateful. I don't know. Do we have any new patrons to report, Jen?
No, I gave you the last one that came through.
So make sure that you guys do support if you can. And of course, getting us off to a good start as always, JG1982 with the $2. Shahid Bolson. Yes, JG, I did send him a message. He is a great political commentator. I am hoping.
Who is that? Who is that?
I think he's a professor, if I'm not mistaken.
But where? Like, what's his commentary? Like, what's his show?
He doesn't really have a show. He just does commentary.
Oh, okay.
I have to look him up.
I'm just curious, like, if I saw. All right.
Is
he in this country?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
But he's I don't remember where he's from. He's Muslim, but I don't remember.
I don't care what his background is. I care what his time zone is.
In Jin, we trust. Is Shahid Bolson's latest. Hey, like I said, be happy to have him on whenever we can get him on. So I sent him a message. I hope he responds. Let's see if we can get it done.
Have you ever reached out to Marjorie Taylor Greene?
No.
You should. You should invite her on.
I would invite her on. I just don't know how.
That would be interesting.
Actually, you know what? I do know. I actually do know somebody who knows her. So yeah, I could do that. Yeah,
that would just be interesting.
That'd be funny. Maybe she would go for it. Knowing her, she likes to gab. She likes to gab. And
I don't know. I think, you never know. You never know.
You also got to tell her that not all Jewish girls are bad.
I don't think she thinks that, but she's the kind of person, like, in that district, she goes around and just does things. Like, it's not like Debbie where nobody sees her.
Arm with Harmony, thank you so much for your 2-month membership. Some say JD is on deck. Donnie will not last. Listen, the only way Donnie's leaving is in a box. I hate to say it, but he's not doing too good. I definitely agree. Do I think JD is on deck? Well, he is as of right now.
Either way, regardless of if it's, during Trump's term or just following it. Yes, that is who is on deck.
But
and let me tell you, and there is nothing Marco Rubio is going to do about it.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. That's why I think the party continues to evolve. And that is why I personally am hoping that Thomas Massie does run for president in 2028. I think he would cause a real shitstorm if he ended up doing that. Heck, I could even see Marjorie going for it. Again, things are going to change. This country is changing. It's not happening immediately, but it's happening at a pace where we know that they're not going to be able to continue to pull the wool over people's eyes, especially on Israel. That's
oh my God, look at that face. Look at that face.
What are you talking about?
Look at the aim with Harmony face.
Oh, yeah, that's an adorable little munchkin.
Look at that. Okay.
You know, even on South Park, when South Park, it's a cartoon, and a cartoon has Kristi Noem shooting a dog, I want to kill her. Like, I want to kill her. And that's unfortunately a big part of it.
So gross.
It's just really depraved, shitty people. I hate that it's that way, but it is what it is. And of course, JG always coming through in the clutch, gifting 5 revolutionary change memberships. Thank you so much for being such an awesome, awesome supporter of our channel.
Why can't we change that? Why can't we change that, Colin?
That's Colin's fault. He did it. It's all him. But it is his fault. I mean, you know, he can't fix it, and I can't. So
I'm just saying, just don't blame Colin. I was simply just asking. Okay.
He says he'll message StreamYard. See, a little kick in the bum never hurt. Eventually, you accept it. Roseanne Bop
or Bap? Yeah, Bop.
Welcome. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. We're very
Roseanne.
Roseanne. By the way, there is a new Freedom Flotilla fleet that is being put together by Little Thunberg, and she is bringing a real badass with her. Susan Sarandon is going to join this latest fleet.
I love that. And it's like dozens of boats. It's going to be a lot of boats.
Yeah. Now,
and I think that's awesome.
Now we'll see just how tough they really are.
I wish I wasn't how I am about boats, like that was something I'd be more interested in doing, but I don't boat. There's no boat.
But you see, Jen and I have the same opinion when it comes to having to use the lavatory.
That's not why I won't boat.
Oh, that's why. Oh, you get seasick?
Oh, there's so many reasons why I'm not boating, but I'm not boating. I'm not cruising. I'm not yachting. I'm not boating. I'll small boat, like power boat, small boat. I'm not
totally different.
I'm not living in a boat that is moving. I stayed on a houseboat that was docked, and I'll go on a small boat that I wouldn't stay on, but anything big enough that you're staying on it, I'm not on it. No.
Fair enough. I can't blame you for doing what you feel that you have to do, but
I'm not boating.
No, it's all good.
And the bathroom is a situation too, but it isn't just the bathroom situation.
Well, no, I'm not saying that it is, but I want us to be clear before we get to Anas Al-Sharif. I think it's important that people understand just how much they get their hooks into you. And the person who gets these hooks, and of course, we're going to address Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
I saw that.
Unbelievable. This is the governor of Arkansas.
I didn't see what it was. I just saw that you put her on the thumbnail. So I'm like, okay, what did she do?
Well, what she decided to do, and I want to preface this first. I want people to understand who Jonathan Greenblatt is, if you guys are familiar, and why people do these things. So when you're confused about our elected officials and why they get in line, Jonathan Greenblatt will always explain why this is the way that it is.
I worked with the prior education secretary, and I've worked with this education secretary. And I credit the Biden administration for their national strategy to counter anti-Semitism, a really important document. No one had done what the Biden administration had done before in elevating anti-Semitism to a federal priority. And ADL, in full disclosure, worked with them on that. And
that's so, full disclosure. Thank you. Thank you for your transparency, sir.
You want people to know that you are actually dictating policy, that your overfunded NGO that pays you almost $1 million a year to spew your bullshit it is
bullshit. And it is bullshit.
And actually dictating policy, which is incredible. When you really get right down to it, this bald-headed jabroni is actually dictating policy. And it's all through fear and power politics, because he has an unlimited piggy bank. And if he feels that he has to go and do certain things, again, doing this with a genocide as a backdrop. We don't want anybody speaking up. We want everybody on board with what we're doing, which is why it's very important in the first half of this clip that you understand how highly Jonathan Greenblatt thinks of the Biden administration. We have to constantly remind not just our audience, but the viewership at large. It doesn't matter that Trump is in the White House. In fact, it's actually better that Trump is in the White House because he casts a very big spotlight on this very bad issue.
He's gross. I cannot with him.
You think for 1 second if Kamala was in there right now that almost the exact same shit would be going on? Of course it would.
There are some things that, overall that I do think would be different, but not regarding what he's talking about.
No. And mind you, Alligator Alcatraz was built before Trump got there. Just
absolutely. Now, whether or not there would be this huge surge with ICE and they would be rounding up people in the manner in which they're doing it, that I don't know. But make no mistake, we'd be on our exact same trajectory.
Well, remember, they deported a hell of a lot more people under Biden than they did under Trump. They just kept it quiet. They just kept it quiet. That's all. Remember, guys, blue team, red team.
They get a lot of credit for adopting the plan. And then I give credit to the Trump administration for actually implementing aspects of the plan and taking a strong view, again, in the face of real, not imagined, real acts of hate, real acts of discrimination.
No. Nobody ever pushes back. What are those acts? To what acts are you referring? Because he's not talking about acts. He's talking about speech, and he's talking about anti-Zionist, anti-Israel speech. And so I want to know what the acts are, and nobody ever pushes back. Well, again, I am so frustrated with people wanting to shut down hate speech. I stand with people that want to be hateful. You want to speak hateful? Please speak hatefully. Why do we have a problem with what people say?
Oh, I have no problem with it. In fact, I would have, again, this is the whole thing about the person in Aventura. This is the whole thing about all these guys. They're all just a bunch of little bitches that have led very protected lives in insulated bubbles.
They don't like feeling uncomfortable, and I don't care about their discomfort. And the thing is that even if, again, I'm allowed to hate whoever I want. I'm allowed to say mean, hateful things about whoever I want. I hate this guy. I think that Jonathan Greenblatt's a complete piece of shit. How's that for hate speech?
And he ain't no Mr. Clean, that's for sure. He's Mr. Genocide.
And he's a lying
Again, we helped to write the national strategy to counter anti-Semitism, released by the Biden administration. We were deeply involved in that. We are working as well with the Trump administration. This is what we do.
This is what we do.
That is what we do. Red team, blue team, doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is perception. That's it.
He's so infuriating. He's so infuriating. Long before October 7th of 23, long before that, people need to be aware that the ADL has always been a front group for the Zionist agenda. That's their goal. That's their plan. And they've hide it under the guise of fighting anti-Semitism. That is why everybody for so many generations have been conditioned to think that saying something against Israel is anti-Semitic, because that's what his group's life work has been. They're the propaganda arm in that regard. And make no mistake, they are not about anti-Semitism. They don't give a shit about anti-Semitism. And most of the cases that they reference that are cases of anti-Semitism are not cases of actual anti-Semitism. And that's been going on since long before October 7th.
And that's where the Jewish stereotype comes into play. They only care about money and power. That's it. There is no real agenda here. They just happen to have a substantial amount of control over the levers of power. And how do we know this? Again, Governor Sarah Huckabee takes a trip to Israel.
Well, A whole bunch of people just went to Israel. The whole bunch of Congress people just went on a nice little, delegation. I love how they called it delegation.
Colin, can you pull up some of these pictures, please? Yeah, she looks so thrilled. And especially that next one. I don't know who this guy is that she's sitting next to, Jen, but
That's Smotrich.
I bet is that small? Yeah,
That's
it is.
Smotrich.
I didn't realize it was him.
Yeah.
This image right here, I mean, honestly, this is such an unholy image, if there ever was.
He's one of the most evil he is.
Him and Gavir, the two of them.
They're very evil. Like, this is, that's horrifying. Now, all you need is like her dad to just like sort of do like a, photo bomb right there.
Now, I want you to keep this image up, Colin, because I want to educate the crowd if they don't know this already. This is important stuff. So, state of Arkansas. State of Arkansas. What can we share with our wonderful audience about the state of Arkansas? Well, it is the third poorest state in the country, ranked 48th. It is ranked 48th in crime and corrections, which means they probably have a lot of for-profit prisons there. It's ranked 47th in healthcare. It is ranked 41st in education, although I believe that that is debatable in terms of what the actual number is. 46% of the population of Arkansas identifies as evangelical Christian.
Well, so then she is justly representing her people in a psychotic fashion.
Not only that, you're talking about a state that is a bottom feeder for education, for crime, for healthcare.
Yeah, but like, so are we.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are we. And we have but except for we're way up there in terms of the money. Again, I get it with states that are poor states being low on the list of stuff. It's when states like Florida that are one of the richest states are low on the list of stuff.
But you know what? The one that really stands out to me in Arkansas, if you guys don't know, Arkansas is actually one of the most beautiful states in the country. The Ozarks.
It is very pretty. I've been there.
However, the state is ranked 35th out of 50 in environmental protection. So a state that actually has real natural beauty, a place that you would think would care a little bit more about something like, oh, I don't know, the air you breathe and the water you drink. This is clearly a state that doesn't care. And the reason it doesn't care is because the governor of Arkansas's father is the ambassador to Israel. This is a family affair of the worst kind. And again, I don't want to pick up the stereotypes about the Deep South.
Well, it's not the Deep South. Arkansas is not the Deep South.
Yeah, it's a combination of the South and the
It doesn't matter. These are evangelical Christian people. Mike Huckabee, who is, the ambassador to Israel, doesn't even refer to the geography according to international law's recognized names. So, for example, he doesn't say the West Bank. He calls it Judea and Samaria, like some sort of religious nut job that he is. So we actually have whatever it is, we actually have somebody that is in a position, in these positions that do not reference actual geopolitical geography. Like, they don't reference it because it doesn't suit their religious preference to do so. The absurdity of what we are dealing with.
Well, the absurdity of what we're dealing with, again, is also the degree that nepotism controls our political discourse.
Well, nepotism controls everything in this country.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand the name Huckabee goes a long way in a state like Arkansas, where the daughter could just, I don't want to pick on people's looks, but Sarah is the only normal looking person out of that entire bloodline that Mike Huckabee created. So naturally, she's the one who gets to stand at the front of the line. And she became Trump's press secretary, and a lot of people liked her because she was a smart mouth and all of that. But in the end, this is just another career and another opportunity to further drive the wedge. And I ask you, as I would ask everybody, what exactly do her constituents think about this? I mean, are evangelical Christians just completely blind to this relationship? Are they all Christian Zionists? Do they all believe this? Do they all think what she's doing is good? Do they all think that genocide is acceptable? Are they all just...
Yes. Christian evangelical people believe that this is good. This is why, you know, we've talked about this with Casey Malone. You know, this is the whole point, which is why she's been saying that is why they are so much more dangerous.
I mean, they are, but they don't have, they have more voting power. They don't have as much economic power. So
there's so much more, maniacal because it's based on religion. And when it's based on religion, it's by default, de facto, it is without reason. Whereas the other people, it's based on some semblance of reason. We don't agree with it, but it's based on some semblance of reason. When it's religiously based, you can't reason with those people.
No, because
that's why it's more, that's why, right.
As you have said many a times before, if it is not built on reason, if it is not built on justice, then you're arguing with people that can't think or see straight. They're just not capable. And this is why when we see Zionists in particular in Israel that are interviewed and their bloodlust for Palestinians, again, the only thing that we can control, we cannot control the genocide, but what we can control is whether or not our country continues to facilitate it. If we continue to have this unbroken relationship, and I will say again, for those of you that are here and anyone who is within earshot of New York City, September 20th, if you have any opportunity to get to Manhattan on that day, I have no doubt that there is going to be a massive protest outside of the UN on First Avenue. There just will be. And people will have their Palestinian flags. And listen, it's going to be New York City. I guarantee you there will be a Zio brigade that will show up with their Israel flags.
They'll be dwarfed.
They probably will, but don't think for a second that they won't be there. You know,
no,
they'll bust them in from 5 towns. You know,
they pay people. They have to pay people to go.
Hey, whatever. They've got a lot of money, but they don't have a lot of support. That's the difference. The support is drowning out by the day. It is unfortunate, but we see exactly why Sarah Huckabee Sanders is such a loon and a loser. We do have some super chats before we get to a very important story, the most important story of the night. As you guys know, what happened just yesterday. Absolutely horrific.
No, you have to be more specific because I'm not sure as to what you're referring to. When a lot of things happened yesterday.
The IDF mass murdered journalists, including Al-Sharif.
Yes, that is what I was hoping we were referring to.
Shout out to Chris Garrett. Always a pleasure, brother. What about a tariff on offshore call centers? Well, you know, there's a lot of things that we could be doing. Apparently, one of the things that Trump was trying to tariff was gold, and that apparently didn't go over well at all. And all right, we're not going to tariff gold. Of course not. JG, thank you so much for the $5. Zionists take pilgrimage from Pentecostal nutcases to politicians. Again, that's why most politicians are puppets. These are not people that actually think for themselves. They just do what they're told, especially if they're nut jobs, even better, because they're easier to control generally. And JG, again, with the $5. Arkansas is building an all-white town. I work with this from Arkansas, taught his daughter to call blacks porch monkeys. Sick man. Hey, don't be ragging on porch monkeys. If you haven't seen Clerks 2, you will understand.
I don't know what that is, but I will tell you when I was
that movie.
Okay, well, I was in Costa Rica, and when we were there, like my whole family, and there was like this spa suite room that was like a cabana room, and there was this whole big porch like that surrounded this whole thing in the trees. And I'm lying there before the guy came in, and I'm on the table, and I'm not dressed, so I can't move, but I'm lying there, and I heard this rustling, and I look up out the screen. An entire family of monkeys comes walking across the porch, like across the whole rail. So unless you're referring to those porch monkeys, I am not sure.
Oh, Rachel understands. Rachel always understands. That's why she's a great friend. Right, Jen?
I don't understand what she's talking about when you do.
Oh, I'm taking it back.
What are you taking back?
Porch monkeys. I'm taking it back. Again, if you guys have not seen the clip from Clerks 2, you have to see it to understand. It's actually very funny.
Okay, so you say. But as people, okay, so on the serious note, are you done going through chats?
Yes.
We've been seeing the largest mass murdering of journalists in Gaza, and in the West Bank. I mean, in Palestine in general, but in the past almost 2 years, they've killed more journalists than in, like, I want to say every other conflict combined in the modern era. They've killed over 200 and something journalists, which in and of itself is a war crime. And they just now specifically targeted this particular journalist. And he was obviously one of the last few people left that was still documenting these horrors.
If you guys do not know who journalist of Al Jazeera, Anas Al-Sharif is, there is, we have, Colin, do you have the image? Can we put it up for a second? Please grab it. I just want people to know who this man is, what he looks like, despite the fact that—
And it was 5 people. It was him and then 4 people with him.
I just want the Zaya Nazis out there who are trying to paint this man as a Hamas agent.
That's
him.
Why would a Hamas agent be walking around in a press vest and a press hat when those are essentially targets?
Yeah. Well, again, this is like the same argument about, is this really a war? No, it's not. It is a mass genocide. This is not a standing army. There's a reason why the Zios are the biggest fucking pussies on the planet, because the second they tried to saber rattle Iran, we saw what happened. We know that they wouldn't even think to tangle with Turkey. There is a reason that they're going after these people, because they're civilians.
He's been one of the most consistent voices that people have been following. And I guess, they finally realized we're down to only a few. We know who this guy is. And in a very targeted attack, they killed him, which then, of course, goes to show you that they can do targeted attacks when they think somebody's Hamas.
Well, we've got 2 clips to play you, and we'll explain why. But the first one is going to come from our good friend. So Medea had this to say about the assassination of Anas Al-Sharif.
Israelis have once again killed a heroic journalist in Gaza. This weekend, an Israeli missile struck a journalist tent outside the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City, killing Al Jazeera Arabic correspondent Anas Al-Sharif and 4 of his colleagues. Anas was just 28 years old. He had become one of the most recognized voices reporting from northern Gaza. For months, he covered the war under relentless Israeli bombardment, risking his life to show the world what was happening. He stayed even after his 90-year-old father was killed in an Israeli airstrike on their home in December 2023. He was also a husband and a father of 2 young children. In his final posts, he spoke about the fear that he would never see them grow up. Unfortunately, a fear that just came true. And this is not new. Since October 2023, more than 200 journalists have been killed in Gaza, making this the deadliest war for the press in modern history.
Evidently, there has been more journalists killed in this genocide. Please stop calling it a war. In this genocide, more journalists have been killed than every other major war since the start of the 20th century.
I'm so angry. Like, I'm just so angry. I can't even.
Over 200.
And well, and in particular, this Al Jazeera journalist in particular that was targeted, just that they even say with a straight face that they believed he was Hamas. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. What indication was there of that? There is none. You thought that. Yeah, that's what they thought.
That is what they want. That is the plan. The goal of the Zionist movement is to create as much anti-Semitism as possible because that makes them more money and gives them more power.
Well, and it keeps validating their position that Jews aren't safe, So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Mm-hmm. And I know that. And I'm starting to hate us.
Well, Medea, who is Jewish as well, I am sure, understands that sentiment completely.
Groups including the Committee to Protect Journalists, Reporters Without Borders, the International Federation of Journalists, they're all demanding an independent, transparent, and credible investigation into Anas's killing. But when has Israel ever allowed that? Never. Israel has been violating the rights of journalists every day for the last almost 2 years. These groups are also urging the Israeli government to allow foreign reporters into Gaza. While Israel has been able to get away with killing Palestinian journalists with no consequences, it would be much harder to kill journalists with outlets like CNN and CBS.
It's not like any of them are clamoring to get over there.
Well, that, and they have killed other people. Are you kidding me? They've killed, what was her name? Nareem, the American, the dual citizen, the journalist that was like, that was a few years back. Shireen maybe. They've always aimed at journalists. Journalists have targets on them, which is why they are so special. These guys, these are real revolutionaries. These are people that are willing to put their life on the line. He knew that it was a good chance he wasn't getting out of there alive.
Especially after they killed his father.
Shireen, yeah.
Yeah. Unreal. Finish it up.
Anas Al-Sharif was more than a statistic. He was a father, a husband, a son, and a relentless witness to genocide. His voice has been silenced, but the responsibility to seek truth and to demand justice for him and every journalist killed is now ours. Anas Al-Sharif, presente.
It's
sometimes there are no words. Sometimes there are no words. Sometimes
I'm just so angry.
Let it sink in. But with that said, it is imperative that we make very clear that the Zion Nazi Brigade, who is trying to paint this journalist as some type of a Hamas agent or supporter, sympathizer, or that this was just an accident, leave it to another friend of the show to explain that this was no accident. This was a targeted assassination. Here's Greg Stoker.
How many of you know that a group of journalists was just intentionally targeted with a kinetic strike by the Israeli military in the Al Jazeera journalist tent in Gaza City? Because they do their targeting operations based off cell phone signals. So somewhere, someone in the targeting cell was like, all these journalists are here, drop it. And it's hard to do a battle damage assessment based off of this video, but it's clearly, there's no crater, it was not a bomb. It was most likely a precision munition like a Hellfire missile shot from a Q-9 Reaper drone. As you can see, there's no blasted terrain. Okay, so basically, I've been tracking this for a long time. When they go to kill journalists or aid workers, they use precision munitions like this.
That's my point. They can choose precision munitions. They don't have to level entire hospitals and schools like they say they do, but yet somehow they can do precision here.
Well, not only that, but anyone who is going to try to suggest that this was an accident or that it was just a random shooting, no, they 1,000% targeted him. And they have probably wanted to kill him since the beginning of this.
Yes. Look, they've done everything else they can. They kicked Al Jazeera out of there. I mean, they don't have anything there. So yeah, the fact that he was still reporting for Al Jazeera, I'm sure really pissed them off.
Oh, absolutely. Which is why they have to come up with a backstory now about, oh, it's a shame that he died. But he was really a bad guy, so don't feel
Good
bad.
luck with that. No one's buying it.
No. They're running out of real estate, which is why I said that the walls are closing in, and it should not be lost on anybody that one of the, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it is about the United States and only the United States, but the idea that Australia, which has always been sympathetic to Israel, came out and said, we are recognizing a Palestinian state at the UN next month. That's a significant turn of events. Because
it also shows that Australia listens to its people better than our country listens to us, at least in theory. Did you see what happened in Sydney? Did you see the march of people across the Sydney Bridge a few days ago? It was the biggest march. It was a march for Palestine. They took over the entire Sydney Bridge. It was 100,000 people. And Australians are just, they're not having it.
No.
They shut the entire bridge down.
Colin, if you have a clip or something short from
I
that.
just know, no, I mean, I know it was like within the past week that there was this huge thing. Now, this was probably in the pipeline prior to that happening, because I don't think things like this happen that quickly necessarily.
I don't think Sky News is the only representative news in Australia, but they are they're an extremely antagonistic conservative news network, like extremely. And so
finish playing this clip though of Greg. And then if we see the clip from Australia, I'll show you. But
because they want to be able to see the bodies, see on thermal imaging the heat go away out of the bodies, so they can confirm that they're dead. You can't do that if you're trying to kill a high value target with a bomb, because it just destroys everything. There's a drone somewhere circling above, making sure all of these guys are dead. This strike was not about leveling Gaza. This one was to kill the prominent journalists reporting the genocide. So, rest in power, y'all. And are there any quote unquote Western journalists that would like to say anything about this, about your colleagues who are being, as a matter of state policy, targeted and assassinated specifically so they don't?
No, actually, you want to know what our so-called journalists are doing? I know that this is, again, this to me means absolutely nothing, but well, it's a terrible story. But do you know one of the kids that was killed in Parkland, Joaquin Oliver? Do you know what Jim Acosta did? He decided to conduct an interview with an AI-generated version of Joaquin Oliver. I'm not kidding.
Wait. And he's dead?
He's dead.
Well, that's kind of creepy.
He did an interview with an AI rendition of Joaquin Oliver, and what did he talk about with him? The importance of gun safety or gun removal.
That's not creepy.
This is not.
That's so creepy.
Well, that in a lot of ways is who these are not journalists. They're just not.
No.
And perhaps because of the 300,000 protesting, this, I believe, is the Prime Minister of Australia that came out earlier today.
Today I can confirm that at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September, Australia will recognise the state of Palestine. Australia will recognise the right of the Palestinian people to a state of their own, predicated on the commitments Australia has received from the Palestinian Authority. We will work with the international community to make this right a reality.
So, and again, I don't know that is, cause.
I don't know. I agree. I don't know either if that's Francesca's brother or a cousin or somebody, but.
No, I don't know that, but I'm saying.
It's a joke.
I was saying if this was the cause, if this was the result of a 300,000 person protest in Sydney, I don't know. But it's, it's a nice correlation.
Well, how many people would you say when you first went to DC at the beginning of 2024? How many
That
people?
was no, it was in November of 23.
Right.
It was like November 4th of 23. And they said it was like 400,000 people in DC. And, you know, I don't know that I would know the difference between 100,000 or 300,000 or 400,000 from being in it. It's really hard when you're in it. When you're in it, you can't tell. But I'd never seen something so big. So, and I saw pictures of what happened in Sydney, and it was massive. It was massive. I mean, it was the whole bridge.
Sure. But it was massive when you went there too. And of course, in our country, they were like, go fuck yourself. We don't care.
Oh yeah, nobody cared.
Yeah.
There were 300,000 protesters in Sydney, and now they're recognizing Palestine. We had 400,000 protesters here, and our government did tell us to go fuck ourselves. So,
you know, you could say all you want about our founding fathers, but my goodness, if Thomas Jefferson was not right when he said, when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. And that couldn't be more true. Our government doesn't fear us at all.
why would they? Why would they?
We're too busy getting concerned about stupid fights on Twitter. That's what we focus on.
We're stupid. We've been so stupidized.
Of course. And you know what? I may still do a clip responding to More Perfect Union. We could potentially talk about it on Thursday, but I would definitely do it on Saturday regarding RFK Jr. and what he has done thus far as the health secretary. And as far as I'm concerned, it's like you only want to paint it in one direction. It's like there are some things that he's doing correctly, and then there are obviously things that he's not. But
it's such a crapshoot there.
Of course,
it's just such a mess.
But we have gotten to a point now where the only thing we're sinking. We're sinking down into the depths of hell. And the last clip I want to play comes directly from our other friend.
We have a lot of friends here.
We have some good friends. We got some good people. Really great people supporting this channel. It's a really great thing. Wally Rashid. Leave it to Wally to point out the fact that the Trumpster wants to go to war with Ireland. Ireland is a really terrible country. No, Ireland is the best. I want
to be very clear. I'm with them.
I'm with them too. Well,
like, make no mistake. I'm with them.
And if you're Irish and you do not support the liberty and freedom of the Palestinian people, you're a terrible Irishman, or you could be a terrible person who supports.
Every time you do it, you really you're like the leprechaun from Lucky Charms.
I am not a leprechaun.
Also, there's got to be like there's probably like a dozen different Irish accents. By the way, there's Irish accents. There's people in Dublin don't even necessarily understand the people in Belfast. Well, I was at a bar with someone. She didn't understand a word he was saying.
I was glad. Excuse me, the people in Belfast, they speak a very quick, and you can't understand half the words that come out of their mouths. So
now you're sounding more Scottish.
That's correct. But the Scotsmen understand it.
You're not. But there was a woman in Edinburgh that I didn't understand a word she was saying, and she was speaking to me in complete English. I did not know a word she was saying.
Well, it turns out that my father's family and his lineage goes all the way back to 15th century Scotland, if you can believe that.
See, now you're Scotchman. Your Scotsman is better. Your Irishman sounds so like Lucky Charms.
Well, that depends, of course, on what part you're coming from.
All right. Well,
we support the Palestinians, and that is exactly what you should do as well. Because if you don't, I'm going to crack you one right across your jaw. Or as good old Sean Connery used to say, a little bit of a smack. Want to get a woman...
oh, yeah. He was...
He owed Barbara Walters so bad in that interview.
That was terrible. It was terrible.
Terrible and funny at the same time. It is what it is.
It was like
but let's hear what Wally had to say regarding what is happening now with Ireland and what Trump apparently is planning to do to them, because they are leading the charge. They have led the charge. It's what Ireland started to do that all these other countries are now following suit.
To know what America is doing to Ireland, because just 6 hours ago things escalated even more. Just a few weeks ago I talked about how Ireland is voting on legislation to criminalize engaging in financial transactions with illegal Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank. At the time, just a couple weeks ago, US politicians started threatening Ireland about this on X. Well, now, just a couple hours ago, Ireland stated they're moving forward with the legislation regardless of the threats from the United States.
Good. Good.
And that's not the only country, Jen. Do you know who else decided to join Ireland today? Norway.
Well, Norway, Spain, and Ireland were the first 3 countries to speak out about apartheid, occupation, and all of those things. So in the past couple of years, those countries were pretty quick to speak out, but still send money, still send support, but speak out. And that's the problem. Same thing with Ireland. Like, you can say things and you can recognize a Palestinian state, but if you're still supporting in any capacity a genocide, then it doesn't really matter what you're saying. So while I like this, I hope that they actually put their money where their mouth is.
Oh, I think that they will. And for those of you who may be a little too young to remember Sinead O'Connor when she was a guest singer back in 1992, I want to say, on SNL. I mean, it was one of the most all topics money. We're grateful to have you here.
Oh, God, don't speak Irish to Irish people.
Could the Irishman please tell me if he is offended by my accent?
He's not offended by it. He just probably thinks it's funny.
Maybe.
But I have had now an assortment of Irish accents, and I will tell you, hands down, my favorite, Galway, no contest. The Galway region accent is hands down, to me, the coolest Irish accent. Just saying.
And Edinburgh is your favorite from Scotland?
Well, first of all, it's Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
And yeah, I know it's spelled Berg, but you don't say that. It's Edinburgh.
Well, we don't want to sound anything like the English.
No, but a lot of the problem is that a lot of the people, funny enough, that I met, like when I was in the Highlands, were actually British. So I don't know that I was necessarily getting the assortment of Scottish accents, but Edinburgh's special.
Have you been to Cork?
I didn't go to Cork, and that's also where Tig lives. Tig Hickey. He's in Cork.
Travers, I think, is in Cork as well.
Travers was in Cork, but Travers lives in Aberdeen, which is in Scotland.
I see. But this also, and again, I have always said that the greatest amount of pride that I hold in my Irish roots is because of the fact that when we see injustice anywhere, it's cause for revolution. That's always been. And it's the same with the Scots as well. That's why so many people love the movie Braveheart. Because of how
I used to.
I mean, I think Gibson's attitude is definitely more on the anti-Semitic side. But
you think?
There's also things that he has said. This is also the problem. The problem is because when you don't deal with the actual issues like the Zionist state, you give even greater credence to the voices of those like Mel Gibson, who on the one hand is right about Israel, but like others we've pointed out, like Dan Bilzerian, equated as, well, it's the Jews, and that's the reason. It isn't because of Zionists, but it is. And Ireland is doing it right.
The reason this is such a big deal is because Israel is terrified of this happening. Israel is worried that if Ireland passes this legislation, then other EU countries might also begin to pass this legislation. Building settlements, colonization, it's a business enterprise. If it's not financially feasible, Israel can't do it. Now, this is where things have escalated. This week, 25 US congressmen flew to Israel. AIPAC paid for every single one of those trips. It was 25 Republicans. Next week, it's going to be about 20 Democrats. While they're in Israel right now, these congressmen, at Netanyahu's request, are urging the Treasury Secretary to investigate and take action against Ireland for boycotting Israeli settlements. The US government wants to take action against Ireland, which is a US ally, because...
Think about the insanity of that.
Yeah. Nobody is an ally if they're in the way of Israel. Everybody's on the chopping block. My God, do people not understand we are going to get dragged straight to hell along with Israel if we don't let go? Did the powers that be not understand?
I don't know why you see it as that. It's not about us letting go of them as a separate thing. It's about us recognizing that the Zionist project is doomed for failure.
It is, but what I'm saying is that the powers that be do not care.
No.
That there is this rising tide that is going to engulf us all if we do not break away from them. This is why we talk about BRICS as much as we do, because we are going to get left on the sideline. I know there are people who think, well, the United States will always be relevant. Maybe,
No.
but maybe
I don't
not.
know why people think that. Why is anything always anything? If we have not noticed anything historically, that, I mean, we're stupidized to the point where we don't learn actual history. But, you know, to think that somehow we're going to be some everlasting empire is just absurd. There's no history to suggest that that's how this works. That's just not how this works. And really, right now, the only thing that we're number one in is might makes right in military. That's it. And eventually that is not sufficient. And that won't be able to trump the economic conditions that we're going to be under as we're completely more and more isolated from everyone else. And especially from the majority of the world, which is BRICS. BRICS represents the majority of the world. They have a larger GDP than the G7, and they represent the majority of people. So, you know, eventually, yeah, I think that's where things are going.
Ireland wants to end trade with Israeli settlements in the West Bank that are illegal by international law. People need to understand that regardless of how much the United States defends Israel, the EU does have the power to enforce a two-state solution because of the fact that the EU is Israel's #1 trading partner.
There.
I'll put that chart back for a second. Can you please explain why, again, I know that Wally is not doing this for any specific reason, but
right,
two-state solution is not only out of the question, but it obviously can't work. And can you explain why?
Why a two-state solution can't work?
Mm-hmm.
So this requires, okay, first of all, the concept of a two-state solution was never intended to actually happen. It was created by Zionists to somehow soften the blow for stealing Palestinian territory, full well knowing that they would never actually allow there to be a second state. So there was never meant to be a two-state solution, according to the state that has decided there will not be a two-state solution, which is Israel. Never. It was never going to happen. It was always a facade. And if you want to talk about logistically why it can't happen, that can also be discussed. But the primary reason for that is that since 1967, Israel has been illegally occupying the West Bank and Gaza in a way that has settled and have settled in that region in a way that has cut it up. People say it's like Swiss cheese. It's worse than that. You know, they've cut it up in such a way that there is no semblance of one unified land to give as another state to the Palestinian people, which is why the West Bank and Gaza were divided in the first place. That's also why you had Hamas in Gaza and you had the Palestinian, the PLO, or oh God, what was Fatah? What was the other group? Arafat's group in the West Bank. No, but they purposefully, the powers that be in the Zionist entity purposefully separated those two areas to further divide parts of Palestine so that they could not unify as one state. So first, never meant to be real. It was always a lie. And two, they wouldn't allow it even if it could be done. So that's why there is no two-state solution. It is not happening. It was never going to happen. It is never going to happen. And the only answer is to end the Zionist state. It has to stop.
Agreed. And look, over 50%.
Fatah, right. Fatah.
Yeah, over 50% of their trade partners comes from the EU and the United States. So if anyone is wondering the significance of, let's say, Ireland and Norway and Spain cutting off, France cutting off ties, Italy threatening legal action, it's serious business. Like the walls, as I said earlier, You want to talk about legitimate walls closing in? The walls are closing in on Israel.
Well, the rest of those countries there too are problematic for them too.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those countries are not going to be, you know, sticking around either, including places like Turkey and, you know, China, and none of these places are going to continue to trade with them.
No.
Trading partner. If all of the EU banned trade with Israel to impose a two-state solution, Israel would eventually have to capitulate because it couldn't handle the financial sanctions against it. That's why they can't have Ireland start a domino effect that could cause other EU countries to do the same thing.
They already have. It's already started. It's already in motion. It's not going to stop. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
We need to address this. I am not in a party. I don't see why you would think anything I've said is remotely Republican, because it isn't. I am pretty bleeding heart, you know, as left as I'm the leftist person that I know. So I don't know why you would think I would go with the Republican Party, because they generally don't fight for the least of these, which is kind of what I'm doing. So I'm not entirely sure why he thinks I should go to the Republican Party.
Chris,
What if I
got Jen, I got a better response. Hey, Chris, put up or shut up. You can stick around. You can call us names. You could hate watch our channel all you want. I don't give a fuck, because I'm not a Democrat, and I could care less if Republicans win. I have seen through the game. Maybe you haven't, and that's okay. And you can complain about how you don't care about the vulnerable communities. Trust me, I know that everybody, with the exception of a very small portion of the population, is a vulnerable community. It just depends on what degree. You know, we talk about Alligator Alcatraz and how bad that is, but how that has been done in conjunction with both parties. And the only reason it gets talked about now is because Trump is in power. Much like deportation was infinitely worse under Biden than it is under Trump. The only problem is that right now they are trying to kick out all of the people. Remember, there are a lot of people that are sitting in these temporary jails. For what reason? Do you know the common denominator amongst a lot of the people that apparently are getting thrown into ICE facilities is that apparently they have spoken out, not just against the United States. They have spoken out against Israel.
That'll do it. Chris, you're back, and I think he's talking to us that we hate Democrats. Unfortunately, people on the left have nowhere else to turn. The Democrats are not the left, not in any way, shape, or form. They're not the left. There is no left. That's the problem. And the reason that we fucking hate Democrats is they pretend that they are. So you might be sort of like taken in by that. They play Mick Resistance. They play the left on TV, but they're not really the left. So that's the biggest problem. And so, yes, I hate them more. I hate them more. I do. I find them even more despicable.
Yeah. The future of the two major parties as it stands today, you actually have a better chance of seeing some semblance of a populist uprising in the Republican Party than you do in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party will destroy itself before it ever allows a left populist movement to take over the party. They have proven time and again that they have guardrails in place that they will use and have used and will continue to use if anyone gets close to power in that party that they don't like and doesn't play ball with the corporate establishment led by the Israel lobby.
I love this.
Hence why you now have Buttigieg. Effing Buttigieg.
You knew this was coming. We knew he was next on deck after Kamala. I don't know why you seem surprised about it.
No.
You knew that's who they were getting ready to put up. This comment, Israel is saying they will boycott all countries that recognize Palestine.
Don't threaten us with a good time.
Exactly. That's what Ireland would say to you. That's exactly what Ireland would say to you is don't threaten me with a good time. What do they get from Israel? What do they get from Israel?
Let me assure you, there is no taking back this party.
It's done.
None. I I deal with rich people on the regular. I can assure you there is no taking back this party.
Nope.
Stop giving people false hope that you can do it. You can't. They have not even considered the prospect of getting rid of super delegates in the presidential nomination process. Do you know what that means? It means that 3 consecutive presidential elections, they've pulled the same bullshit. They're going to do it again, and you're still going to convince yourself that you can fix it. The only way change ever happens is if there are guardians at the gate outside with pitchforks. That's it. And an armed resistance. That's the only way.
It's not, it's not going to happen, and it is not going to happen in that party. They are not the left. They are not labor. They are not representing working people. They are not on our side in the class war. Joseph, thank you. She says Arafat was chairman. It was the PLO. Thank you.
And why do you think, and also, why do you think that somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene is as outspoken and as demonstrative against the Zionist state as she is because do you know who represents her district, or who she represents in her district? She represents
actually
rural working class that are all armed.
Oh, they're armed.
And if you even think about trying to fuck with them, especially if they're basically telling her we're not on board with Israel, you better fucking listen to them, because they will get you out of office. Those types of people will get you out of office.
Right, not the 0.011% or 0.001 whatever percent of her that she referenced in her district that were AIPAC people. She's like, yeah, that's 0.11% of my district.
There were 2 people that had legitimate chances of becoming the congressional representative in the district that I live in, which is the 1st district of the state of Florida. It's in the Panhandle. It is very much, in many ways, similar to the 14th district in northern Georgia. And here's what I could tell you. The only reason that Jimmy Patronis became the congressional representative of this district is because Trump anointed him. He gave him his blessing, gave him the support, gave him the money, and he became the congressman. The other person who was running that had a legitimate chance to win was a former state representative who had the support of basically the Hells Angels, if you will. This motorcycle gang showed up to one of the debates that I happened to be at, and they were there for him, and they were, this is how things roll in these parts of the country. And I guarantee you, those are all America Firsters. Those were guys on bikes that were not playing along when it came to having to go out and get that vaccine, which is not a vaccine. I really wish people would stop calling it a fucking vaccine. A vaccine is something that prevents you from getting something. This booster shot that they force people to get, which should have been an option, it wasn't. They forced people to do it. People lost their livelihoods as a result. These guys show up and they protect them. And this is why, when it comes to these types of representatives, things are going to change once Trump gets out of there. The fact that Randy Fine is still in Congress, that guy's not surviving the next election.
No, his own people don't even like him. We have a question here, and we could answer this. No, the answer is no. The short answer is no, but there you go.
I'll take.
Cookie wants to know: do we like Pennsylvania's Shapiro any better than Buttigieg?
I have a very simple answer. Answer.
Okay.
I will take Buttigieg over Josh Shapiro. You know why I would take Buttigieg over Shapiro? Because I didn't see Buttigieg sign bombs for Gaza and Ukraine. I didn't see him do that. But Shapiro.
Yeah, it was gross. Yeah, I'm going to say, just as a general out there rule, anyone who's ever signed their name to a weapon that's going to be used to hurt, that's going to be shipped to hurt people, is no one that I would ever vote for. I'm going to just put that out there. If you have signed your name on bombs, you're just an idiot. So I'm not going to vote for you. So
I mean, think about it. The Democratic poll from Emerson, which is one of the more, you would agree, Jen, Emerson is one of the more reputable pollsters out there that does presidential.
Sure.
Polling. Okay.
Sure.
Such conviction. Point being is that Pete Buttigieg was number 1. Do you know who number 2 was? Kamala Harris. Do you know?
Right. Well, they have no one else. But how far? Wait. But what was the difference between 1 and 2?
16 for Buttigieg, 14 for Harris, 13 for Newsom, and then there's a trickle for the rest, basically.
Yeah. And not one of those people has a snowball's chance in hell of winning, in my opinion, any state.
Think of it
I'm
this
going
way.
to say it right now. I don't think that any of those people will win a single state. That's what I think. Why are you laughing?
Somebody wanted me to do a Kamala impression. I can't do it, but
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter which one of those tools they put up. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're going to have, I don't even know why the Democrats even bother having primaries. That's another reason I hate them more. They don't even listen to their own people. Like, they're just disgusting. They were going to anoint whoever they're going to anoint. And it really won't matter. Whoever that person is not just going to lose. They're going to lose so bigly. They're going to lose Kamala bigly, maybe even biglier than bigly. And that will then be yet one more, like, again, they're going away.
If you were to just line up the top 3 contenders right now in the GOP to run for president in 2028, J.D. Vance, Tulsi Gabbard,
Marco Rubio.
Yeah, I would say the establishment.
If you're talking about people who want to, who are.
No, I'm talking about, like, if you legitimately were to put up, like, populists or just people that.
I don't think Tulsi anymore. And I honestly don't think RFK again. I think those two have kind of, I think that
I would say Tulsi much more likely than RFK. I would say that.
Maybe, but I think that those are both people that have burned bridges, political bridges, in terms of their stances and changing and doing things and not doing things, that I don't know that either of them have enough of a following that it would be worth it. And I definitely don't think either of them would have enough juice to take J.D. Vance.
I also think that the thing that people are forgetting is that in the Republican Party, in terms of a populist uprising, they legitimately have 2 candidates that can go on the stump and people will trust them and believe them because they have a pedigree and a history to back up what they're saying. And that's Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. The Democrats don't have anybody at all. They could have had Alex, but that's over.
Yeah, no.
That's not happening.
I am also not big on legislative people going directly into executive positions at that level.
Which is why anybody who has any hope of again, you're not going to do it at the federal level, but if you want any hope of a semblance of some type of a populist left uprising in this country, and again, it isn't going to come through the Democratic Party. It will come through grassroots initiatives that maybe happen through the Democratic Party, but the party itself is not changing. Individual representatives at the top could potentially do that. And the only hope you have is if Zohar Mamdani wins in November. Now, if he does win, I think he will inspire a lot of other people to take up the ranks and run for, let's say, mayor in a lot of different communities throughout the country and follow his suit. He will mold it into his image, which I think will be extremely positive. I just hope, against all hope, that he doesn't succumb to the pressure to basically become another AOC. I am hopeful.
Well, I still think it's apples and oranges. Again, you're comparing an executive position with a legislative position. He has a lot more power, that he can actually do things. There's a lot of variables.
There is.
I am hopeful. I'm hopeful that he turns out to be as inspired as he seems he is. I hope that that's the case.
I hope so too. And that's why, again, we don't have to put our faith into electoral politics. But if somebody good comes along that could potentially supercharge a lot of people to get active and into the streets, somebody like Zoran can do that. He's already won. He doesn't even need to win in November. He has already he has pulled the mask completely off of the Israel lobby.
Yeah.
Completely off. There's no going back. It's over now. It's just a matter of time. I said it at the time. I said his win was so big, so unbelievably big. If he becomes the mayor and is able to do anything positive,
yeah,
we'll see. And David, I would say that the only person that the Democrats have, that's Andy Bashir's the only one. He's it.
And I still don't think enough personality, charisma, name recognition.
He's also not a sellout the way that others are.
Well, that's right. He wouldn't be able to raise the kind of money. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't excite enough people to raise the kind of money. The Democrats have no one. They have no one. And nor should they, because they stand for nothing.
The best thing that Andy Bashir could do, especially if I believe he may be term limited as governor, his best move is to actually run for the Senate in Kentucky now that Mitch McConnell is about to step down. That's his best shot.
I don't think so. Because why would you go from an executive position to I understand that Rick Scott did that, but I still don't think that that's what someone does who just wants to necessarily be a politician forever. But that's not, it's a downgrade in terms of what you can actually get done in your own authority and your own control of a situation. I don't think that would be a good move at all. And I don't think that, again, it doesn't matter who the Democrats put up.
Probably not. But then again, we're talking about electoral politics like it matters. What we are talking about is the revolutionary change that we seek in this country. And if you are so inclined, please go to patreon.com/revolutionary change. For as little as $5 a month, you could become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. And we are continuing to ascend up the ladder towards 50,000 subscribers. I know Jen thinks she'll pass on before that happens, but you know, we're gonna actually, she thinks she's gonna pass on before we hit 100,000. Now she may be right about that one, but 50,000, I think she'll live long enough to see. And so, if you guys want to help us, please make sure that you go over there.
So what you're saying is, if we hit 50,000, I'm good to go at any time.
Oh, after that, you've already accomplished more than most people will ever.
I don't see how that's possible.
Do you know how many channels get to 50,000 subscribers?
Not us yet.
It's like 1%. It's like a very small percentage of channels.
I know.
Get there.
But is it based on, did they look at all in reference to how long you've been there?
I don't think so.
A channel that's been around since the existence of YouTube getting to 50,000 and a channel that's been around for like a month getting to 50,000 is a very different thing. Well,
it all depends on whether or not, as we continue to advance, do we do anything with our format? I mean, I am in a very precarious position for not much longer, that knock on wood. I don't really have a lot of free time to really do some of the things I would like to do. I do think that occasionally I would like to do sort of like almost like a long form essay video with maybe some graphics, some music, things like that, that could potentially, go viral and generate a lot of interest for the channel. But that's only something I would do once a month. Like I would not churn out, and think about this, some of the best channels out there, think of it like Moon, for example. You got Johnny, forgetting his last name, More Perfect Union, longer form videos.
James Lee is fucking awesome. Like, he is really good. Yeah, he is really good.
They churn out these videos. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes time to produce these things. And so I don't want to.
They also have a little bit more funding and staff.
They do. And I don't want to overwhelm Colin. So if I were to do something like this, it would have to be planned out very specifically. And I have lots of ideas. I mean, we all do. There's lots of things to cover in that format. But as
Jessica May is asking if we know Tim Black. We do know Tim Black, and yes. I would love to have Tim Black come back on the show, but he won't.
We love Tim Black, but he's very much a recluse. Like he does not.
He came on the show once, and it was for my 50th birthday. We had a bunch of different people come on, and Tim actually came on for my birthday, which was really cool. But yeah, he's not somebody that will come on a show.
He really doesn't do that.
And I would love to talk to. I've tried. And
Tim likes us. It's his style.
And not just that, but he's really going kind of in a little bit of a different direction now, which is fine, and that's what he needs to be doing. But yeah, he doesn't do shows.
No, he's he's about the Black agenda, and I totally respect.
He went on with the letter hack. That's interesting.
Huh. Well, letter hack's great.
Well, so are we.
Yes, Tim, if you're watching this, we would love to have you back. Guys, let Tim Black know that we would obviously like to converse with him.
Yes, tell Tim we want to talk to him.
Democracy Reboot Blade Knight. Thank you so much for the $10. My hope and I demand that ICC and ICJ revise their order for international countries, except those who defend this genocide, to call death warrant for Ben Satan Yahoo, banned his fascist Nazi minions. He's got plenty of those.
Yeah.
No question. Well, I would like to see that happen.
I'd like to see warrants for, I mean, it won't matter for Joe because he'll be dead by the time there's anything happening, but for all of the people in our country, in our administrations, in the UK, people like Keir Starmer, all of these people are culpable. The media people like Jake Tapper, all of these people that have known things for long periods of time. Miller, that piece of shit, what's his name, Mark Miller, all of these people, in my opinion,
they don't know. They know
are complicit. So yes, I would love to see a lot more arrest warrants come out for a lot of people.
Well, that can't happen fast enough, but we all know that that's not how things are going to go. I am going to make a collective effort to make sure that we have a guest for.
Somebody wants us to bring Rathbone back on.
Oh, we would have Rathbone on in a second.
Yeah, he's got a show now. You know, he started a YouTube channel.
Actually, Rachel, if you want to message him, because we would be more than happy to promote his channel. If he
and for the life of me, I cannot remember his name. What is his name? Rachel, if you can you find out what his name is?
Chris.
We've had him on, and I know I know we knew his name at one point.
Is it Chris or Brian or something like that?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, even if I said it, you would be like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Matt Stu says, bring on Joe Rogan. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He just totally has the time to do that. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I know Rathbone's on right now. Is that it? You're watching him too. Okay. That's
cool. Obviously, Whitney Webb is somebody we've been trying to get for a while. And we would love to have her on. Look, a number of these guys are making the rounds. You know, we're trying to get our schedule up again. It hasn't been. But
we're working on it.
We're glad that you guys actually like to listen to what we have to say.
Occasionally, anyway.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I like Rathbone. He's fucking funny. He went out. Oh my God. He did. Did you see his bit about Michael Rappaport?
No.
Oh, apparently Michael Rappaport made a TikTok or whatever, the video about Rathbone. And so then he went and did a commentary about Rappaport's. It's so funny.
Well, I wouldn't expect anything less because Rathbone is great. All of you are great. Colonel Wilkerson. Yes, we have Anthony Aguilar. We've been trying to get on. We will.
Professor Manda, let me explain to you about the professor and Iran in general. And also, we can also now add India to that mix, is because I have now found out. These are people that deem to live on the half hour. They live on the half hour. It's not just 7 hours, 8 hours ahead. No. It's 8.5 hours ahead. And people who don't know, like I have time zone bias. That's what I have. I have time zone bias. It's just not as feasible for us to do shows with people that are in the middle of the night when we do our show, because I really don't want to do our show in the middle of our day. So it's not always something that's doable.
No, we just have to accept the fact that we are in a,
we had Shama on like a month ago. Go back and look at our Shama Sawan interview.
Look, when I did my live show on Saturday night, right now it's at over 6,500 views.
It's amazing. It was you and Grumpine. You had a good audience.
Yeah. And I'm probably going to message Osiris to come back on to talk about Nick Fuentes, because that's really his.
Oh, yeah.
He's been on. He's been barking. He's been like knocking down my door for like 2 years about Fuentes and why he thinks he's great. And I said, listen, I think he's somewhat of an incel, which again is okay. I mean, that doesn't make a person bad, but he has. He may be closeted. He's very deep-seated against women in a lot of ways. His anger towards them is legitimate. And he's very proud to be a white nationalist. Now, that doesn't mean that he hates other races or speaks ill of other people. He just happens to have a lot of white pride. People have pride in their culture. Whatever.
I don't buy that. That's silly. Dimitri Lascaris is another one, Brett. I do like him a lot. And if he comes back.
Listen, I don't know where Rachel's at, but, we're trying to get Kim Iverson on. She's back from Italy now.
Yes. But I was going to say, because like Dimitri Lascaris, the last time I saw, he's in Greece. I think he's in Greece right now. Again, I have time zone bias. I do.
I don't know who Godry is.
I don't know who that is. No.
Yeah.
I agree, Renati. White pride is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, again, here's what I would say about Nick Fuentes. And like I said, I'm going to cover him. If we're not going to do it Thursday, I will cover Nick. I'm going to discuss Nick Fuentes and probably Charlie Kirk on Saturday. And here's what I will say. Nick Fuentes is speaking to an audience of young men who feel completely displaced in our society.
Incels.
Well, hold on now. You could say that incels are ridiculous, but what you have to remember, and I've said this before, there's a lot of people who are depressed, who are lonely, who do not have opportunity, and they're all by themselves and they don't know what to do. I've told the story before. I will tell it again, and I will repeat it on Saturday. When I first got into commercial real estate, I was checking out a property in a very low-income area of Pompano Beach. Pompano Beach is if you're not by the beach, Pompano is a rough neighborhood.
It's industrial and it's not, it's nothing. Yeah.
So I was going to check out this property, this multifamily property, and I had to go and check one of the units, and one of the tenants happened to be there. And this is a guy who is all by himself. He's heavy set, short, he wasn't mean. He wasn't friendly. He was just there. He was just this guy living in this 400 square foot apartment, didn't really have much going on. But you know what he did have? He had his computer up on his desk, his standing desk. And who was he watching? He was watching Tim Pool. And so there's a lot of people out there that watch these channels.
Yep.
And this is a big part of their life. They're speaking to those people. Now, I would never accuse Tim Pool of being the kind of whisperer to that crowd the way that Nick Fuentes is. Nick Fuentes has Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who have both been excellent on Israel, trying to deal with this guy because he's saying that they're not legitimate. In fact, he made a 5-hour essay video about how Tucker Carlson is CIA. And maybe he is. His father was. And he tried to pass it off like he didn't understand or didn't.
I just don't see why he would want to be spending time talking about that now, how that matters, how it's relevant, why we care, how that affects anything, how that's anywhere near as important to other things that are happening and other people that would be in the CIA. Like, I just don't see
and that's the downside to somebody like Nick Fuentes that people need to understand, is that even though Nick Fuentes listen, I found a video of Nick Fuentes, and I might run it as a clip on Saturday. I mean, he was talking about Israel being the genocidal apartheid state that it is back in 2018.
Yes. No, he's correct on that issue. But that, I don't know much more about him. I just know that.
And if the argument that Fuentes is again, it comes off like jealousy in a lot of ways. The thing that he's doing wrong, substantially wrong, is this idea that we have to separate those that legitimately are against the genocidal state of Israel versus those that are in favor of it. No, if you are against it, then you have to band together.
Yes.
No excuse. You want to deal with that? You want to argue about whether or not Tucker Carlson is CIA once the genocidal state has been dismantled? Be my guest. Do whatever the fuck you want.
I don't think it. Who cares?
Clearly, the people who follow him do care. For whatever
I care more about people like Alyssa Slotkin. I care more about her being CIA than Tucker Carlson. Am I wrong? Am I missing something here?
Abdul El Sayed responded to the Michigan GOP today when he was asked, does it bother you that Alyssa Slotkin missed her vote specifically to go on Colbert so she didn't have to deal with the political windfall of voting in favor of Israel? And Abdul Sayed's response was to show a picture of Ted Cruz. And I actually responded to him and said, two things can be true at the same time.
Exactly.
You start playing into this whole, it's the red team, blue team bullshit, you deserve to lose. If Haley Stevens gets in there because you want to play that fucking game, that's your business, pal. But I'm not on board with that. The response could be, well, Alyssa Slotkin should have been there and casted her vote. But don't you ever say that you have the higher ground when you've got somebody like Ted Cruz that you support. Now, that would have been how you responded, but he didn't do that. That's the difference.
All right. Well, I'm glad I won't be here for that discussion.
Oh, I'm sure you won't. You'll be watching in the background, though.
I like to
hate watch.
I hate watch. No, I like to sort of oversee what's going on in terms of like chat, and also sometimes I have to, stick something up there just to make you know that I'm watching.
What are you sticking up there?
What do you
mean?
That
sounds really inappropriate.
No, when I'm putting up chat comments, when it's like when I sit there and I'll change.
Oh, that's you. Oh, okay. All right, I get it. Well, it didn't sound right. JG 1982 with the $5. Groypers. Nick has name of following called. So the
what's Groypers?
That's who follows Nick Fuentes. That's his.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Though?
I don't know. It's what they call them. Okay, and JG within $5. Groypers griping like dirty diapers, unashamed racist. I've met some.
Gripers. I don't know what that. What
kind of
word is that?
People will find a reason to hate when they feel that the world hates them. And that's all there is to it. It's really not hard.
Oh, it's gropers.
Gropers?
Is that what?
No.
Oh, I don't. That's just Travers.
But it's with a Y. That can't know.
Yeah, groypers. I don't know what the hell that means.
Sounds like gropers, and they are a rapey bunch.
I don't know. Gripe. I know. I don't get what it is.
Well, as I said, I understand, and everyone should understand why Nick Fuentes is a big deal. That doesn't mean you agree with him, but you cannot deny why he's growing the way he's growing. We are a disaffected nation. That's what we are. And we have a significant portion, especially of young men, who do not have real prospects in this world. And they're desperate. And he is their whisperer.
All right. Well, you know what? I've lost interest in Nick Fuentes.
That was quick.
Mm-hmm.
Smash that like button, share, subscribe if you're new.
Also, guys, it is only if you are a member, either here on YouTube or a Patreon member, that you can participate when we do call-in show.
Now that's important.
And so, yeah,
if you
want to call in and have a chat, then you need to be a member.
Yes, we've gotten a few extra. We're getting there. We're slowly but surely crawling up the ladder. We've got another clip that will drop in a half an hour, so we hope you'll tune in. Make sure that, once again, you smash that like button. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you share. We really appreciate each and every one of you that takes the time. And the amazing thing about our live stream,
the chat, the people in the chat.
Yeah,
a real man walks the walk, and then Matt Stu goes, a real man has a penis.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. Kindergarten Cup.
Yes, we understand biology.
We appreciate you, Joe. We appreciate all of you. But that being said, thank you again. And what's even more amazing is that so much of our chat stays with us for almost the entire show. And that's real commitment. And we got tons of you guys in there. So we're glad that we can provide an outlet that doesn't involve groypers. It involves revolutionary change.
Oh, we can definitely reach out to Sheer.
Already did.
I think. Oh, we did. Okay, because he's in this country, or is he? Where is he?
He's in Germany.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be tough. But
it's better than friggin'.
Well, actually, just so you guys know,
Tehran.
Just so you guys know, the clip that is dropping at 10 o'clock Eastern time, that is going to be a clip of Dr. Sheer Gavir with Brianna Joy Gray that I commented on. So you're going to want to hear that. It's a really good clip. He highlights, and guys, real important, Harashnu, to everybody. If you have suggestions, please email.
Yeah.
And you can email me, peter@revolutionarychangenow.com, or you can email Rachel at revolutionarychange.
Admin.
Or admin
at revolutionarychangenow.com. And Harashnu, I love Nora Barrows-Friedman. I love her. She doesn't know me. She probably doesn't ever heard of me. I love her. I do. I actually have tried a couple times to write an email to her, and I can't quite come up with what I would even want to say because I'm like kind of a fangirl. But also, I think she's very serious, and I have a lot of respect for her. And I don't know her. So oh, thank you, Joseph George. So if anybody does know Nora Barrows-Friedman, I am a huge fan. I love her, and I love Ali Abunimah.
Do me a favor, just start. I'm going to take care of this. So do me a favor, just start sending me these names so I could start.
We've reached out to Ali Abunimah a long time ago. It's just been a while.
Try again. It never hurts.
I don't know.
Joseph, thank you so much for the 5 revolutionary change memberships. Don't let your eyes deceive you. We have to give credit is due. We love you all. We appreciate you all. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do.
Yes.
Thursday and
Free Palestine.
Good night, guys.